Very good. One last question here.
Yeah, thank you for the lecture. I'm Aman from mechanical engineering. I just like global studies, that's why I'm here. My question to you is, you mentioned that India will slowly grow up and maybe become #1 pole by 2050. But I did my undergrad in India and I saw there are many like Indian internal problems like religious intolerances and things happening that countries like India or China need to settle down. So how do you think like those countries will deal with them? Because India has a lot of diversity and there are different like multipolar reasons even inside India. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, the real expert on India is sitting here, by the way, Ashutosh Vashni. He should answer the question. But I just want to say that I'm, broadly speaking, very bullish on India. And you know, the reason why I use the phrase 1,000 flowers is that India and China are so different from each other, okay? So the Chinese model of success works for Chinese society. The Chinese model of success will not work for Indian society, right? It's much more, Indians, as you know, are much more open and argumentative. And Amartya Sen wrote a book called The Argumentative Indian. So in the Indian political system, Indian culture will be very different, but in their different ways, both will be very, very successful. In fact, over the next 10 years, and there's no question the Indian economy will grow faster than the Chinese economy, partly because also the Chinese economy is much bigger. Chinese economy is now, what, 18
somewhere between
trillion.
5 and 6 times as big.
Yeah, and India is still just about 3, am I correct? So there's a big gap. Chinese economy is 6 times bigger. So of course it's going to grow slowly, more slowly, but India will grow much faster. But it'll be very different. So for example, you know, China succeeded by becoming the factory of the world. India is going to try and become the factory of the world, but it may not be as successful. But in other areas like services, India does brilliantly, better than any other country. So they'll succeed in different ways. And India, I think, is actually on the verge of the kind of explosive growth that China went through after it joined the WTO in 2001.
Yes, when I was in India, there was a phrase that was used by the Economic Times. It was called the global Indian takeover, which was a bit over the top, but signaled a certain attitude.